Slime fountain. When many slime collect together in the same space, they make a remarkable effect. We call it the slime fountain because it reminds us of a chocolate fountain. Well, in that case, I better check this out for myself. Oh my goodness. Good morning everyone, welcome back to another episode of Minecraft The Journey with me, bugmancx. Don't tell Game Bear, but I sleep in his clock shop. Anyway, in the last episode we've been busy, and in the episode before that in fact, we've been busy working on the slime farm, which is down here beneath us, and when we left off, the slimes were making their way up here, just like this one is, and they were making their way through here, the slime splitter, and they're being broken down into smaller and smaller slimes, and at the moment they're just ending up down here, and they're right down here at the bottom where I can just punch them like this and gather up all the slime balls. But that is definitely not a permanent solution. In fact, we want to build a building around this, as I've been saying for a couple episodes now, so why don't I just crack on and get that done. I decided to get on with the science lab build and crack on with laying out the floor. I soon realised that I'm going to run out of stone slabs, so I'll have to finish the rest of the floor later. Time to get on with the walls. They'll be a sort of concrete-like modern finish, so snow is going to be the block of choice for that, but I soon realised I've massively underestimated how much I'll need, so I'll need to go out and get more snowballs again when it's raining. Oh well, I'll work on the interior layout a bit before moving on to the front wall. Oh great, it's raining and I'm trying to work here. Now's probably a good time to go out and get more snowballs. Shoveling snowballs on top of dirt and sand is really tedious, so I decide to build a makeshift snow farm using wood planks. This is literally a million times better. While I'm here, sheep, might as well get some more green wool, because the front wall is made out of green wool, but I realise I'm pretty low on the stuff and I've run out of cactus, so I decide to build a cactus farm. I managed to get enough snow to finish off the rest of the exterior walls, but this place still needs a roof. Glass of course, because I can't stand it being dingy and dark inside. Once that was down, I decided it might look a bit smarter with a nice black trim going around the inside border, and of course, we need a jazzy sign on the front so that everyone knows what this place is all about. And look at that, it's done! But I can't help but realise that I've just built another building based on a box. But you know what, I'm okay with that because you know what this area is? This is the factory area, and what do modern factories tend to look like these days? Big, giant, square boxes. And I think when we get more blocks in the game, I'll want to get more creative and break away from this block-based design and do something a little bit more interesting. But as you can see, I had a lot of fun with this one, and it's actually not really within keeping for the rest of this area. It stands out quite a lot. It's a big bright green front with a big bright green sign across the top saying Slime Inc. And as you can see, we've got the little slime face right here within the S part of the logo, which I quite like. That was a bit of a last minute addition actually, and I had to make it work within the constraints of the font size, and I had to invent a font as well, so there's that. Anyway, let's head on in and see what is going on. We have a little welcome area here. We've still got to do the interior decorating, and through here this is going to be an office-like entry point. You know how you have to press your badge on the thing and it opens up the gate for you and in you go? And in here is the main interior part of the building, and I really like it. I like it how the walls are not exactly uniform and they are a different depth in different areas of the building. I also have to finish that black trim because I'm out of black wool at the moment. I'm out of a lot of materials. I mean, the materials required to build this, I have no idea how many snow blocks went into this build, but I waited out there in the snow with my shovel, gathering up hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of snowballs. And to be fair, I had tons of these left over from the original snow blocks that I crafted back in alpha when the game was giving me snowballs for free. So, you know, there was a lot of resources that went into this game. The biggest one was the snowball constraints, and the second one was wool. So I've known that I wanted to build this for quite a while. So for a while now, as I've been going around the world, every time I see sheep, I always pick up some wool. So that's how I've managed to get a fair bit of wool. But still, I ran out of that too. And just as I kept going through the motions of building here, I had to gather up resources in between. And it was just, well, you know, just a lot of work. So we still have to do some work here to clean all this up. I'm not very happy with the finished product here, but we'll get onto that shortly. And as we go upstairs here, we have this upstairs level 2, because from up here, you can actually see what's going on in the back. We have a little window showing the staircase here. And if you pop over the top here, this isn't the official way, but it is what it is for now. You can actually see the slime coming up the stairway there. And the water streams in here have not been finished yet either, so we've got to get that done as well. But for the most part, the farm is working, and it's working as I expect it to. Right now, the slimes are dropping themselves into lava because it was just getting to be too much work and too much hassle to deal with them all the time. So I'll come back and sort all of this out, and I think that by the next time you see this building, it should be far more complete. Is it getting to nighttime already? I feel like I just slept. Whew. Anyway, so I'm quite pleased with this overall, and I hope you like it too. Time for a little bit of Minecraft weirdness. As we can see, it's nighttime out there, so I'm going to put myself to sleep, and we'll do that right here in the town hall. Let's pop down a bed in the middle of the floor here, and when I go to sleep, I'm going to open my inventory, and normally we see my player icon here. Keep an eye on that once I have opened it up while I'm in bed. Ready? Oh, I'm not close enough. Let's try that again. Ready? Look at that. We can see me sleeping. I can even move my character around while I'm asleep. Isn't that weird? Okay, but that's not even the weirdest part. It's the next night now, and have a look what happens if I go to sleep again. This time what I'm going to do is change the orientation of the bed from this way to this way. Now, last time what we saw my character sleeping across this way in the inventory here, but when I do this in this direction, you will see that I'm actually now rendering from the top of my head, and that is the direction that I would be facing if I was sleeping in the bed here in the world. So that is a really, really strange thing to see, and I think it has something to do with the fact that this little character here is a representation of my character in the real world. For example, if I hold this sword here while I'm here in the real world, let's call it the real world because that's what it is, and go into the inventory, you can see that the character is also holding the same sword from the same slot, and it also changes blocks if I change them in that slot as well. So the two characters are linked, the one in the real world and the one in the inventory. They're effectively the same character, and that's why you can see it in the sleeping position when my real character is also in the sleeping position. So I think that's kind of funky. This is outrageous. Have a look at this. There must be 150 slime in there. In fact, we can tell with the F3 screen because up in the top left-hand corner there, you can see that we have an entity count. At the moment, it's 115 out of 278, meaning that in front of us here are 115 entities. There are a couple off in the distance, but basically that means we have about 115 slimes all in this little section here. But this isn't all. Have a look at this. Ready? Look what happens when I walk into the slime. I get projectiled all the way over here, and I've dug this floor out because I was keen to see just how far they would fling me, and each time I dug it further and further, I kept reaching the next block and the next block, and I don't really know how far it can fling me. Quite some distance. I keep making it further and further each time. Maybe this is something that we could do in the future. Maybe we could build some kind of slime cannon. Oh, look. It's raining. And, yeah, because there's no entity cramming in early versions like this, so it's quite easy to build up a huge number of a single mob in one space like this. But, oh, doesn't it just look creepy? I have mentioned previously that if you put an item in the crafting grid and make a crafting recipe with some items to craft, and then you press shift on the item here, you'll get a full stack of that item into your inventory. But it's also been a problem as well because if you take several items like so, and then put them in the crafting grid like this, you'll get your stairs, but if you put them the extra items in the grid for some reason like this, then you'll also get a pressure plate whenever you shift click here. Well, that functionality has now changed slightly so that you can no longer get a full stack when you shift click. So now, oh, actually, I was surprised to see that happen. And let me show you why. Because if I put the logs back in here and I do the shift click again, notice, okay, so let's just get rid of those. Notice I have no planks in my inventory. And when I do the shift click, I only get the 4. So really what I was expecting to happen there, oddly enough, was for me to get the stairs as 4, and then it would leave 2 behind and then let me shift click again and get a pressure plate. But I didn't. So that change doesn't work at all how I expected, and I really don't know why it would be useful. Because now I have to do a shift click like this. The only advantage now is that instead of getting all the items up here like this, like you used to, you get them down here in your inventory, and that means that you can continue past a stack of 64 and it will keep putting items into your inventory, but it's still a lot of clicking. So I will be happy when this system is overhauled and is something that reflects a bit more of modern Minecraft. There's a new technical change that was implemented to beta 1.6.5, which allows the game to cap the frame rate and prioritize chunk loading over generating frames. If I hit the F3 button, you can see that I'm currently generating around about 300 to 330 frames per second up in the top left-hand corner there, and that goes up and down depending on how many chunk updates the game needs to do and whatever else might be going on at the time. The FPS limiter will actually limit the number of frames that are updated whenever the game needs to do any work relating to chunks. So as you can see, if it's doing 212 chunk updates like it did just then that will be prioritized over generating frames. And the FPS cap is configurable under options and video settings, frame rate cap 90 FPS, and that can be 40 FPS or 200 FPS. And I mean, I have a really old computer that I use to help me do time lapses, and the experience on that is pretty awful at times, so I can definitely see how a performance improvement like that would help overall. I've left a link in the description to Notch's original post where he explains how this thing works if you wanted to check that out for yourself. As usual, there were several other bug fixes in this version, but I'm not going to go through them all because there's a lot of them and I haven't experienced all of them in my gameplay either. But I will go over a couple that I have. The first one is the maps. As you can see, that map icon is now pointing in the correct direction whenever we face north or whatever direction we're facing on the map, and that was a really weird one that it was offset by a few pixels in many cases. And the last one is to do with our tools here. Now, of course, we have exploited a particular bug here with our pickaxes, which has allowed us to get 127 in a stack, and I know my durability is going down, and that means that the durability of the whole stack is probably going down, but I digress. The point is that this bug has now been fixed. So if I drop this axe on the ground and then pick it up again, theoretically that means that it should no longer be working, and it also means that we should be able to duplicate it. So let's do a little quick check. Right clicking, and no, look at that. Instead of duplicating, it has properly left my inventory there and disappeared. And if I head over here, I should also be able to use it. And I can without the axe breaking. So that bug is now definitely and permanently fixed. There is one last thing that I would like to explore in beta 1.6.5 before we make the upgrade to 1.6.6, and that's because beta 1.6.6 starts to remove some very, very old code that is no longer needed in these more modern beta versions of the game. And before I am able to explore this, I'm going to need to find some mobs, and look, luckily we have some cows right here over in this field. What I'm going to do is I'm going to modify my game's region files and change the ID of this cow from cow to monster. And when I do that, this mob should change into the classic old human mob, the human mob that was added way, way back as the very first mob into the game when this game was still known as Cave Game. So this is going to be really interesting for us to explore, and it shouldn't be too difficult to do, I hope. Well, I have changed all of the IDs of the cows into monsters, and so let's see if we can... Hello, hello. I found my first former cow. Hello, Steve. Or should I say, human? Oh, you're going to attack me, aren't you? Well, that's not very nice. You know, I've been so lonely in this world, and you are the first friendly face. Ow! You're the first friendly face that I've ever seen. Let me show you around. Okay, so here we've got behind you is the town hall. Come on, come on. Play nice, play nice. Behind you here is the town hall, and this is the town square, and in the middle of the town square is the nether. I bet you can't come into the nether. Whoa! And over here we have the slime farm, which is just a recent addition to the game. Oh dear, okay. I should be able to just kill you like that. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there were a few more cows out this way. And since I replaced all of the cows in this local area, I think that we should be able to find 1 or 2 more of these unless they've despawned. Feather. Cows. I didn't really pay attention to all of the coordinates of the cows. I literally just opened up the region file for this area and replaced all of the cows with humans. Maybe they've despawned, but... Oh, there's another one. He's over there. Hello. This is really fun. So this is actually how the human mob would behave if it were still accessible in the game. Because as I said, all I've done is rename this mob from a cow to a monster. So yeah, this is truly bizarre. Bizarre, bizarre, bizarre. I don't know what to do with these now. I probably will just leave them and they should just despawn like most other mobs do over time. But the thing is, in beta 1.6.6, the code for these is going to start to get removed. So why don't I just keep letting you follow me like this? You can continue to follow me. And what I'm going to do right now is upgrade the game to beta 1.6.6. I'm in, as you can see, beta 1.6.6. So let's go into single player and see if it's still there. It's, oh, ouch, that really hurt. It's still there. So perhaps in beta 1.6.6, only some of the code starts to get removed. I really don't know. Anyway, I'd better just get out of this thing's way because all it's going to do is want to kill me and I really don't have any food on me. I don't believe I don't have any food on me. Hello. This thing has almost killed me, so what do you say we just get rid of it by giving it a little tap and then sicking our dogs onto it? Thanks, boys. Right, let's get back to exploring the changes in beta 1.6.6. So having a look at a couple of the changes in this version, back in the options screen here, we were discussing the frame rate limiter in the last version, and that has now changed. So under video settings here, we have this thing here, which now just says performance balanced, power saver, or max FPS. I'm not really sure how much more helpful that is, considering I don't really know what any of these things mean in a practical sense, but that was the decision that's made, and that's how things have changed. So let's have a look at some of the other things changed in beta 1.6.6. And the first thing I want to look at is going to unfortunately take us to our favorite place, the Nether. And this is what I came here looking for, some glowstone. My nether is just so inhospitable. At the moment, there are no ghasts around, luckily, but there will be soon, I can assure you. And look where we are. I've had to climb all the way up here above the nether hub. There is the mini hub of our beta lake area. And yes, it's just such a pain. And look, this glowstone happens to be over lava, or kind of over lava anyway. So yeah, I've got to work really hard to get glowstone whenever I need to come out and collect it. Oh, I hear you, Ghast. See? There it is. Okay, let's act quickly, shall we? Let's bridge out a little bit further so that we don't lose any drops here, because glowstone is a precious commodity. But what has changed about... Yeah, I knew it. Okay. I'll get you back, don't you worry. Maybe not. Oh, yes. Oh, what? Oh, come on. I've got to jump to get the angle right. Oh, that was so close. I'm out of here. Got him. Okay, so hopefully we can go at this again without that one over there. getting in our way, but let me just build a little bit of a platform here so that we can collect as much of this as we can. Now, okay, let's concentrate. The change that has happened to the glowstone is that previously this block type was a glass type, and now it has changed to a stone type. So I'm wondering what happens if we break this with our open fist. That is a lot slower, and I also didn't get any drops from that. Oh no, oh no! Now, what I can do now is use the pickaxe and break it like a piece of glass, just like that. And if we run away here out of the way of that ghast, let's try in here. The glowstone now drops 2 to 4 pieces of glowstone dust, whereas previously it would only ever drop 1 piece. So you had to break 9 pieces of glowstone in order to craft up 1 block of glowstone. So the other change that has happened is now you can use 4 pieces of glowstone dust to craft up 1 glowstone block. So suddenly glowstone is much more accessible, and as much as I'd love to harvest all of that right now, I've got to get out of here. You know, I think that a lot of people actually forget this, but it is actually possible to craft wool blocks with string. So if we collect up some of our drops here. Now, normally what you'd do is you would take the string and you would put it in the crafting grid like so, and you would need 9 pieces of string in order to craft 1 wool block. And now another amazing quality of life issue means that, or not issue, quality of life advantage means that you now only need 4 string to craft a wool block, which is actually really handy because there are times when the sheep are just too annoying to get, and we can come over here to the string farm and gather up as much of this as we need for very little effort. So I'm very happy with that one. And one other interesting point of note about this particular change is that when Notch announced this on his own blog, he referred to the wool blocks as cloth blocks, and we've discussed this before. That is the name that they used to be way back in Minecraft Classic, and they got changed to wool blocks at some point. I don't remember exactly when, but it was so long ago now that they shouldn't even be being referred to as cloth blocks anymore, so that's just confusing. Thanks, Notch. Ah, bone meal. Literally so many uses. You can dye things with it, like so, and of course you can also grow things with it, like so. But now you can also bone meal the ground, and when we do so, we will get grass and flowers. And this is fantastic because it now means that we have a local source for grass, which means that if we break the grass like this, we can get seeds again. And of course, flowers are now renewable, which is fantastic because it has been so difficult to get these roses because they're so few and far between out there, and every time you harvest them up, then you're detracting from the landscape as well. So I'm really pleased, and we can also use this bone meal to just make the place feel a little bit more lived in and maybe just a little bit more weedy as well. Maybe we haven't been out mowing the lawn for a while and it's starting to look a little bit unkempt. But, oh, look what a difference it makes. I'm happy about this change. The speed at which a boat floats upwards towards the surface is now much, much quicker, although this is not typically a mechanic that I use, although boats can be used in redstone contraptions to set off pressure plates and things like that. So if boats floating up to the surface being quicker is a good thing for redstone, then that's good enough for me. Apparently also a change was added which will prevent the boats from breaking if they crash up against soul sand. So I've prepared this little beach here. Let's see what happens if I smash myself into it. And nothing happens at all. Although I have been doing a little bit of experimentation with this, and I have to report that I have hardly been able to make my boat break at all. Weird, right? Because they break all the time. So maybe this is not a change to do with soul sand. Maybe this is just a change to do with the boats. I'm not really sure. Did you see that? Normally, I would have expected my boat to just smash up into a million splintery pieces, but no, it stays very much intact. In fact, okay, let's line myself up to the other side of the lake here, and we'll just hold down W and we'll go as fast as we possibly can into that sandbar over there, into the shoreline, and theoretically, this boat should just smash into a million pieces. And it doesn't. So something else has changed here with respect to the boats, and you know what? I'm happy about it. The final change I wanted to cover for Beta 1.6.6 is a bit of a strange one. The change notes list removed Herobrine in this version, and so I'm led to believe this was meant to be a bit of an in-joke for the community from Notch, who had started the process of removing the legacy code for the human mob that we took a look at earlier on in this episode. The Herobrine legend was still very popular around this time, and back then, some players still believed it was part of the game. So this joke quickly grew into a meme, and remove Herobrine kept reappearing in the release notes for every major version of the game for the next decade. That is, with the exception of release 1.1, for reasons unknown, at least to me. At the time of this recording, the latest full version is 1.17.1, and the last version to mention this long-running joke was version 1.16.2. So, will this joke continue, or have the devs now given up on it so that Microsoft's new player base doesn't keep asking who or what is Herobrine? I can understand why they might want to leave all of this in the past. But we'll see. You never know. I don't think back then that Notch and the team could have ever imagined that this meme would carry on for so long. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode, and it also brings us to the end of our Beta 1.6 experience. Or does it? There is actually one more hidden feature in Beta 1.6 that I want to explore in the next episode, but I'll leave you hanging and see if you can work out what it is in the comments. Let me know what you think it is going to be. But I've also done some work on Slime Ink here, and I won't take you through all of the details, but I have done some of the interiors here. And what I wanted to go for was a kind of interactive science experience kind of thing. You know how, like, you might go out for a trip with your family and explore a factory or explore a natural wonder of the world, and there are all of these signs with different pieces of information about whatever it is that you're looking at or whatever the process is that you've come to learn about. And that's what I wanted to get from this. And in fact, you can go up the top here as well, and there are some enclosures which will be filled with some sample slimes a little bit later on in the future. And also you can now go around the back here through this back wall, and if we go down the staircase here, you can actually make it all the way to the bottom of the farm, all the way down to the spawning pads. And there's quite a lot more observability now. You can see everything that's going on, including some places where the slimes sometimes get stuck. But, you know, that's okay. And if you carry on, you'll get all the way down to the spawning pads. And there's all sorts of interesting signs to read along the way. As I said, hey, how did you get out? There is actually a nearby slime chunk here, so I might have to see about slabbing some of the areas that might need to be slabbed. But anyway, that's the end of the episode, and I want to say thank you for watching. Of course, an extra special thank you to my amazing patrons, and if you would like to support me, there are links to my Patreon in the description below, and also links to my Discord if you want to come along and hang out. But I think that's about going to do it. My voice is nearly gone, and I look forward to having a rest. So I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, this has been bugmancx. You've been watching Minecraft: The Journey. Bye-bye.